girls are out drinking their male peers in the UK at a greater rate than any other European country. Yes, more than a third of 15-year-old girls in the UK report getting repeatedly drunk, compared to less than a quarter of boys the same age. I suppose what I'd say to this is, boys, what are you doing? Pull yourself together. Well, joining me now is the editor-at-large at the Mail on Sunday, Charlotte Griffiths, and the former Labour advisor, Matthew Larzer. Charlotte, you're going to have to speak up on behalf of girls the country over here. 15-year-old girls boozing much more than their male counterparts.
I think it's to do with the pain threshold, so we can handle hangovers better.
Do you get hangovers when you're 15 years old?
Yes.
Oh, yeah. I was drinking hooch and Smirnoff.
Absolutely. Whatever happened to hooch?
Yeah. And I just think we can tolerate it better. Right. And I don't know, I grew up in that kind of wild child 90s drinking era. I'm showing my age a bit. And, God, we drank a lot as teenage girls. I mean, it's actually shocking now in retrospect.
Well, I also think in terms of boys versus girls, I wonder if we've got a bit of a thing about... I mean, the old cliché that girls develop quicker, they can become social quicker. They can certainly get into the pub more easily because they look older. Yeah. You know, because of makeup, etc. I wonder if the boys are all just, you know, in their rooms playing on their devices, as it were. You know, as people increasingly dominated by screens, whether in fact there's an issue about socialisation, about whether in fact, you know, the lads are not out there socialising.
They have little sips of wine in France from the age of like 12 and they're absolutely fine about it. Yeah. Whereas we all know what happens to British girls, because I was one of them. You turn, however, old enough to get a bottle of Smirnoff Ice, and boy, do you go for it, and until you're vomiting, basically.
GB News, the People's Channel.
Hi there, I'm Michelle Dewberry, and I'm going to take a second to tell you all about my show, Dubes & Co. We start off with the issues of the day. We then bring in both sides of the argument. We get rid of the disrespect, and then you throw me into the mix. And trust me, I'll tell it exactly how it is. And then, of course, the magic ingredient, you at home. We mix it all together, and what have we got? In my opinion, the best debate show in town. Monday to Friday, 6 till 7 on GB News, Britain's news channel.
Hello, it's 11 o'clock, which means it's time for tomorrow's newspapers tonight. Join us over the next hour to find out what is wrong with this advert. What should you definitely not do with Christmas trees? And what is the most offensive Valentine's Day card? I'm Josh Howie, and tonight I've got comedians Jojo Sutherland and Nick Dixon taking you through Thursday's top stories. This is Headliners. But before tomorrow's news, let's go to tonight's headlines with Sophia Wensler.
Good evening. These are your headlines at 11 o'clock. Labour MPs have tonight voted down a Tory demand for a new national inquiry into grooming gangs. The Commons opposed a call by Conservative leader Kemi Badenoch for a fresh probe into historical child sexual exploitation by 364 votes to 111.
The ayes to the right were 111, the noes to the left 364. So the noes have it, the noes have it. Unlock.
He's voted down an amendment to the Children's Wellbeing in Schools Bill proposed by the Conservatives, which would have looked to force a statutory inquiry into grooming gangs. Shadow Home Secretary Chris Philp has responded, saying it's important to find out the truth.
Need a national statutory public inquiry that covers not just some towns, as previous reports have done, but covers all the towns where this happened and has the legal powers to get evidence and make witnesses appear. We need to get to the truth. Victims are asking for that, and I just don't understand why Keir Starmer and the Labour Party are refusing to initiate this proper public inquiry.
In other news, firefighters in California are running out of water as they try to contain the worst wildfire in LA's history. At least 2 people have been killed and 70,000 have been ordered to evacuate as 3 massive wildfires ravage around the city. The fires, fueled by dry weather and strong winds, have destroyed 1,000 structures and forced people to flee their homes, including some Hollywood stars. The LA City Fire Chief says there are a number of significant injuries and says we are absolutely not out of danger yet. Back in the UK, the mother of 14-year-old Kellyanne Bokassa, who was stabbed to death on a bus in south-east London, has said he was groomed by gangs after running away from care and living on the streets. His mother, Mary, says he was kind, musical and talented at drawing with a love for football. Kellyanne was attacked on a double-decker bus in Woolwich just after 2:30 p.m. yesterday. Despite efforts from police, paramedics and the London Air Ambulance, he died shortly after the attack. Detectives are working at pace to find those responsible, but no arrests have yet been made. Meanwhile, a community vigil was held this evening at the church overlooking the bus stop where he died. A new amber warning has been issued for snow for the southwest of England, likely to cause travel delays and stranding some vehicles and passengers. Britain's bracing for a deep freeze as temperatures are set to plunge as low as -15 degrees this week, the coldest of the winter so far, and potentially the coldest January in 15 years. The Met Office has issued fresh snow and ice warnings for northern Scotland and Northern Ireland, as well as the southern counties of England, with sub-zero conditions expected nationwide. The UK Health Security Agency is also warning of rising health risks, extending its cold weather alert for England until Sunday. And a baby has been born on a crowded migrant dinghy on its way from Africa to the Canary Islands. The baby boy was rescued alongside his mother and 60 other migrants. The crowded small boat was first spotted on the 6th of January off the island of Lanzarote. The Coast Guard rescuers believe they reached the vessel soon after the baby was born and found the mother and baby both in good health. Those are the latest GB News headlines. Now it's time for Headliners.
For the very latest GB News direct to your smartphone, sign up to News Alerts by scanning the QR code or go to gbnews.com/alerts.
Hello and welcome to Headliners, your first look at tomorrow's top stories with three comedians. Before we dive in, we're going to take a quick look at what Jojo and Nick will have to work with on Thursday's front pages. First up, the Daily Telegraph. Treasury steps in to halt market mayhem. The Eye, Reeves faces extra tax rises or cutting public services. The Express, it's blindingly obvious we need a care plan. The Metro, groomed by gangs, butchered on a bus at 14. The Times, take back ISIS, Britain says Trump terror chief. And finally, the Daily Star, don't eat Christmas trees. Oh, no, wait a minute.
Why not?
Yeah, look,
Christmas trees.
they are absolutely delicious.
They are. They go very well with ice cream.
Well, look, let's take a little bit of a deep dive. Let's go straight into the newspaper with the most news, it seems like always, the Daily Telegraph, Jojo.
Every time opening with the Daily Telegraph, where would you like me to start?
Start
with whatever
dealer's
I
choice.
Want. OK, Islamophobia law.
Don't start there.
Okay.
No, I'm joking. Start there.
See, I knew I should ask, and then I knew I'd get told off.
Every time, why are you always bringing up Islamophobia? Every time, it's like, you know, they did the Muslim Council of Great Britain. They did a report on GB News, and really 50% of it was just down to you.
Yeah, and a little bit of Leo Kurtz, but it was a lot.
Mostly Jojo.
So, yeah, no,
you're obsessed, woman.
Simon Evans gave me a hard time as well.
Yeah.
I don't know what they're talking about. Well, actually, I've been so obsessed with everything that's been going on in the news that I've missed the fact that the Treasury steps in to halt market mayhem. So there's other mayhem to be getting along with.
So much mayhem.
So I don't actually know what's going on with the mayhem in the market.
Well, I think the gist of it is it seems like the markets, Nick, are not responding well to the pockful budget from a couple of months ago, and there was supposed to be like about 10 billion, or the country had 10 billion to play with, and now it's gone down to 1 billion.
But I thought we had a £20 billion hole.
22.
Oh,
the black hole that lets Starmer do anything he wants. It's the 22 million black hole.
So is that still the same mayhem?
It's the mayhem about following the response to Reeves's budget. Because whereas Liz Truss went for the sort of very quick dive bomb, Reeves has gone for sort of very slow, gradual death of the economy. And that's thought to be better. So I'm not an economic expert, I'm giving you the broad stroke.
No, but it's a bit like ripping off a plaster or slowly...
She's one of those slow... And I always did it slow myself, actually, because I like the pain.
I'm not a fan of slow peelers.
Do you want to do the Islamophobia one, though? I feel like we started it.
No, absolutely. Let's go.
I felt like we started in this back... And you know, people will be tweeting, you backed out of that Islamophobia.
How dare you, chickens?
Well, I watch Headliners when I'm not on it, which, I mean, it is...
Do you?
Yeah,
Wow.
genuinely.
Yeah. What's it like?
Just saying I'm back to help.
Who's your favourite? Who's your favourite headliner?
I can't possibly say. I couldn't put me.
I haven't seen it. No, so this is about Kemi, right? The Islamophobia thing. Kemi had something to say about Islamophobia, how the AG, the all-parliamentary thingy thing, APPG's definition would actually suppress talk of the grooming gangs if you going by their definition of Islamophobia. And I just want to say I thought this was a good moment for Kemi, because she has been saying that we don't back her on GB News, but if she does something good, I will say, you know, she had that meeting and everything. She really stuck it to Starmer. She said, be a leader, not a lawyer.
Oh, yeah,
very
good line.
And I think it was very important that she called this out.
No, absolutely, and I think the way she handled herself in Prime Minister's Question Time today was impressive. Although, equally, I do agree with the fact that she has had a chance in the past, and so there's all this sort of going back and forth, so it just feels like mudslinging. It feels like, you didn't do that, and you should have said that, and I didn't say that. And it's like, hey, guys, could you just shut up and actually talk about what has happened and has been happening for 25 years?
We've got another story around this, but specifically about Islamophobia. It's an incredibly dangerous thing when the actual definition itself, the supposed definition, which Labour have adopted as an internal policy, and as she said, well, are you going to make that law?
Yeah.
And according to, if it was such a case, that if we were saying Asian grooming gangs, that would make you technically racist.
It's absurd. It is absurd. I take Jojo's point, what were the Tories doing? And just for the record, they should both be destroyed, both main parties. On the grooming gang scandal alone, both of them have to go. I know, I'm probably not meant to say that. We're meant to be nice.
No, it's off. You're allowed to say both parties are allowed to be destroyed. For Ofcom reasons, you're allowed
both main parties,
no other parties.
That's balance. That is pure balance.
One or the other, balance.
Yeah. By the way, one little story here. Piers Morgan is going to leave and just do his own YouTube channel. Remember Piers Morgan? He used to be on a channel, and then he ended up on YouTube, but he's going to leave and just do YouTube.
Have a thing called Uncensored or something.
No, he's going to do his YouTube now.
Oh,
he texted me about it. No, he's blocked me on Twitter.
Does he really block you?
Ages ago, yeah.
But that, I mean, it is genuinely worrying that words would come into law with grooming gangs. I mean, it really sounds like a women hairdressers WhatsApp group.
Well, actually, the good news is that Asian grooming gangs is a misnomer. So actually, to make that statement in and of itself is if you make that the statement, you can't say, well, that's good. Let's revert to another thing, which is Pakistani Muslim rape.
Yes, let's say what it actually is.
Yeah.
And we're getting into that later with the David Lammy story.
Yeah, that's not.
We need to be more specific.
Or a common identifying factor.
Well, let's move on, Nick, to the Times then.
So the Times has "Take Back ISIS Britons," says Trump's terror chief, which is Sebastian Gorka, who actually follows me on Twitter, so not blocked. No, I'm giving a running account of everyone I block by or follows me. I think that's fair.
Doing your hair
I think that's fair. No, that was just paranoia. So Sebastian Gorka has said we need to take back there's about 20 British women, 40 children, 10 men in the prisoners, including Shamima Begum, everyone's favourite person. And he wants us to... I don't know why he's saying this. It's a bit annoying because, come on, Sebastian, don't make us take these people back. We don't want them. They're in Syria. Keep them there. But the thing is, what were you going to say?
No, I'm just saying it's totally counterintuitive. He's the guy who is, like, head of sort of counter-terrorism, or he's going to be, isn't he, under Trump's new government.
Unfortunately,
he's saying, come on, guys, you should take back all these terrorists.
Well, what I'm wondering is if he wants to, and this is just speculation, if he wants to get out of Syria, because, Trump's very isolationist, he doesn't want to get involved, and there's the SDF, the Kurdish-backed forces that US funds or supports in Syria, and they are the ones that keep these ISIS people under control. But the question is, there's been some talk, would Trump pull them out? Because Trump doesn't want to get involved in foreign conflicts, but at the same time, he does seem to really want to take out ISIS. So I'm hoping that he keeps the Kurdish there, keeps the ISIS people there, and we don't send them back to us.
Yeah, we don't. I think it's also unfair because we don't have Guantanamo. Like, because Americans, they took back supposedly all of their homegrown terrorists, and I imagine some of them ended up, that's where they probably end up. We don't have that.
We need our own Guantanamo. This is what I've been saying.
But in terms of information, again, I mean, I didn't realise there was as many that we take back. But because Samima's been the poster girl for all of this all along. And I've always said that poor girl, I think, considering the fact that she got a passport, she flew to Turkey, she trekked into Syria, not only should we bring her back, we should give her a Duke of Edinburgh award. I think.
Really?
Yeah.
You're not supposed... When she said she liked doing terrorism, she had no remorse, you're not bothered about that, you're like...
No, I think the achievement of getting there and doing that, my kids can't find the dishwasher.
So for pure pragmatism alone...
The fact
for hiking skills. Yeah, he says here we should let them back in and then they should be held accountable. And I think losing your citizenship and being forced to live over there where you committed horrible, heinous acts of evil, that sounds like being held accountable to me. Right, let's move on to The Guardian, which is sort of kicking off... Oh, we've got... is that Sarah Millican in the top there?
Where
I think that might be Sarah Millican. Is that Sarah top left?
No.
It looks a little bit like...
Yes. Oh, it does look like
It does a little bit, anyway.
It does look a bit like Sarah.
But they've also got, like, fires.
Yeah, the fires,
yeah.
Shortcuts are OK, the art of being slapdash.
It might be her. Anyway, but let's deal with these fires in Los Angeles. These 80,000 people who are...
And this is just literally whipped up. I mean, it's what's the epitome of a perfect storm. There's a fire started and the winds that have been rustling through have now just taken havoc. And we just saw that video with
it's horrible.
Somebody in their house with a dog literally surrounded by flames.
It's terrifying.
I thought they were being very calm about it in terms of it's coming closer. Have they got some kind of fireproofing? I don't know. But is this going to be attributed to climate change or was it just a fire that...
Let's go to our expert, Nick Dixon.
Wasn't it to do with the brush? Did we have this last time with the fires? It's to do with something to do with the
drying out.
Yeah, it's not my expert topic. Yeah.
So like the sort of the bushfires.
Yeah.
When all it's sort of dry.
It's not my expert topic. I'm amazed people still live in LA. You've got earthquakes constantly. You've got fires. You've got communist high taxes. Everyone's moving to Texas.
You've got Jennifer Lopez.
Well, there's balance there, you see. I'm glad you brought that balance for us.
And we are going to do another story about this, but it's just a quick thing here about Meta. Their new rules set them up for a clash with the UK and the EU because, of course, the UK and the EU...
Which is going to be so good. We'll get into it later in more detail. It's going to be so good because Zuckerberg has declared, not war, but he has declared that he's going to back America's rules wherever possible. And if the EU tries to infringe upon free speech, he's going to go full MAGA on them.
Yeah, well, that's very...
So the fact checkers have been banned in America, but we've still got them.
For now, yes.
That's the gist of it.
He's going to roll them out.
Oh, it's teasing us.
I know. We want to get rid of our fact checkers.
By the way, fact checkers is another misnomer.
Inverted commas.
Well, you need to check. You need to fact check the fact checkers.
Daily Express, then, Nick. That's not as.
Yeah.
It's a pretty big story, long term. This is something we've been trying to grapple with for decades.
Yeah, they have it's blindingly obvious we need care plan, and this is Sir Andrew Dilnot, and he's criticising Starmer on this social care, saying it's taking way too long and will fail millions. And I'll be honest, this is the Dilnot reforms. I don't know loads about this. It's one of the very few topics I don't know much about. But I like that he's attacking Starmer. So I just instinctively like it.
That's all it takes.
That's all it takes.
You're an easy date,
I'm
aren't
like,
you?
yes. And then, if he turns out to be terrible, it's too late because I've committed.
Here's a question. If Keir Starmer did something that you agreed with, would you give him credit for it?
I absolutely would.
Good.
And I didn't mean to point you. And we're not in Italy. But one quick point is that, yes, I did, because when he said that immigration was completely out of control under the Tories and that it was deliberate and by design, I said, good, say more of that stuff. Yeah. So I will. If he ever does anything good, and it's only happened once, I will.
It's blindingly obviously we need a care plan, but they also make the point that the care ought to be properly funded in an affluent society. That's the problem, though. We're in
that's not us.
Nobody is affluent.
Without London, we're poorer than Mississippi.
In an affluent society, yes, indeed. But we've got no money.
Even in a not affluent society, because this is something they keep... Every government kicks it down the road, and they're saying by kicking it 3 years down the road, well, whatever they decide to do, it's going to annoy people, some people. And to do that in the year or so before the next election means there's no way. Even if they come up with some plan by then, it's going to be exactly what happened with Theresa May. She tried to do something about this, and immediately it backfired, and she was like, and this is what's going to happen here. You do this stuff at the beginning of a government.
Yeah.
Anyway, right.
The care plan, I mean, the care plan seems to be sell your house and pay for your...
You know what? We've got a great story come up, but let's save the Christmas tree for later on in the show.
Oh, but it's big news.
It is good.
It is a good one. You want to stick... I'm just teasing the audience. I want them to stick around.
We're like a cooking show. We've got something ready
for that,
taste.
So that is the front pages, beautifully appraised, but plenty more still to come, including who wants the UK to take terrorists. We actually just covered that. And why are Germans the best skivers? You want to find out that one. This is GB News.
GB News Breakfast. Every day from 6 a.m.
Before she even met Prince Harry, her passion was sharing recipe tips, lifestyle, wellness techniques, because she had a blog, quite a successful blog actually, called The Tig. Of course, that had to be shut down when she became a working member of the royal family. We all know the turmoil that happened with Megxit. Now that her and Harry have come out the other side of that and have signed multi-million-pound deals with Netflix and others, this is the proof in the pudding, pardon the pun, and it is basically, I suspect, the TIG 2.0, because we've got everybody... she has managed to get everybody talking about this. You know, the royal family has been dragged through turmoil over the last few years because partly due to Harry and Meghan's decision, partly due to the royal family's decision, but this is kind of what's come out the other side.
Which is a load of nonsense. I mean, the fact, because it's all totally fake, isn't it? I mean, it's not her house, it's not her kitchen. She clearly doesn't spend her days picking strawberries and collecting honey from bees. I mean, the whole thing's just a fabrication.
Well, it's Netflix fantasy, isn't it? So I think any lifestyle programme such as this tends to not be filmed in the host's house. It's reportedly a $5 million rented house. The cooker itself is worth about $15,000. Even the pans are about $80 as well that she is using. So yes, Stephen, you're right. It is kind of fake and fantasy, but then, of course, that's how these lifestyle programmes are made. It's whether... The question will be, when you watch the series, if you decide to watch the series, is Meghan trying to portray herself as this authentic self, or is she going to make it clear that, you know, this is just, like, the best bits of her life? But she's got lots of celebrity friends involved in it, including her makeup artists and others as well. Prince Harry makes an appearance.
Of course he does.
Yeah.
GB News, the People's Channel.
Good Afternoon Britain isn't just about us. The wonderful thing about this programme is it's about everyone watching. It's an interactive programme.
Well, there absolutely is something to see here, and we're going to be talking about it more. Whether it's breaking royal news, Will, please bring us up to date, or indeed a particularly punchy speech in the House of Commons.
Very, very curious.
We bring it to you live, and then we bring you live reaction as well.
That's Good Afternoon Britain, weekdays from midday.
Only on GB News, the People's Channel, Britain's news channel.
Hi there, I'm Michelle Dewberry, and I'm going to take a second to tell you all about my show, Jubes & Co. We start off with the issues of the day. We then bring in both sides of the argument. We get rid of the disrespect, and then you throw me into the mix. And trust me, I'll tell it exactly how it is. And then, of course, the magic ingredient, you at home. We mix it all together, and what have we got? In my opinion, the best debate show in town. Monday to Friday, 6 till 7 on GB News, Britain's news channel.
Welcome back to Headliners. I'm Josh Howie, still joined by Jojo Sutherland and Nick Dixon, starting with Thursday's Mail, Jojo. And if there ever is an inquiry, I hope they discover who called them grooming instead of rape gangs.
Yes, I mean, it's all in the saying of it, isn't it? I need my glasses so I can read it. Labour votes down Tory demand for new national inquiry into grooming gangs as Keir Starmer leaves himself open for fresh attacks by Elon Musk. I mean, social media, he's not leaving himself get off social media, but Elon Musk will say what he wants to say, and that's fine. This is the sort of the idea of not having a national inquiry. I still, again, don't quite understand how a national inquiry into the failings of what's happened and the previous inquiry should stop anything being implemented. Yeah. So they say that the national inquiry, if we were to have it, would halt anything being done with the findings that they have got.
Exactly the crux of this story. So basically, he says, I met with some survivors, and this is not what they want. They want stuff to be done now. It's like, no, I bet they didn't say, don't do an inquiry, but I'm sure they also did say, we want stuff to happen now. They've had these 20 recommendations from the J report. You can implement them, as you just said. 100%. And of course, Nick, you can also have another new inquiry.
Absolutely. And like I say, every victim or survivor I've heard has called for it. Why would they not? I haven't heard a single one say, no, we don't need it. Yeah. They have said, well, what about implementing the last one? Yeah, implementing it is the key, because you can just waste a load of money. So it has to be implemented. This is why I say the problem is, this is why I say both parties have to go, because any party that is part of the circumstances that created this can't be completely impartial. So that's why I want to see someone like Reform come in. But Nigel Farage says he'll do it himself as part of Reform if they won't do it, which was interesting. But yeah, it was voted down 364 to 111. I think they're way out of touch with the people. Maybe I'm out of touch and I'm in a Twitter echo chamber. But to me, this thing has finally exploded. People say, well, why now? Well, because atrocities often take a while to percolate and for people to understand the scope of them. So it's come out now, and I think if they don't act, they're out of touch with the nation. And
also, the Overton window shifted. People feel braver now. People can talk about this stuff because of a certain channel that's come on air.
No, not necessarily. Yeah. I think the fact that you say that why now? Why 25 years? This is a pattern that keeps repeating. That was Hillsborough. That was Mr. Bates versus the Post Office. That was Lockerbie. People who have been complaining about institutions and events that have happened and have tried to get police and people involved have been ignored by governments, by police.
Blood scandal.
Eventually, the blood scandal, it's over. It's like rinse and repeat, rinse and repeat. So now we have this, which has blown up after 25 years. There was an inquiry. There's actually been 9 inquiries. These inquiries have been held. So the government's new. This is not news. This is absolutely, categorically information that has been readily available to the people in authority who have done an inquiry and have not found what they needed to find because they didn't want to find.
Which is make people accountable.
That was what they don't want a national inquiry for.
Yes,
because
I agree.
They need to look at why they didn't do a national inquiry better before with the knowledge that they had.
Absolutely, 100% agree. My only point is the level of anger has exploded, and it's exploded internationally because of X and Elon Musk and so on. So there's just a new level of... Obviously, yes, this was all out there and it should have been dealt with already, but there's just a new level of awareness, a new level of anger that I've observed. That's all I'm saying.
But I think the new level of awareness and anger is because people haven't been known, because it has been hidden, because it has tried to be covered up. Unless you're looking for it, unless you're involved, unless you've got first-hand experience, and you cannot get that information out. People have been trying for years to tell this story, and yet now, of course, people have heard about it and gone, this is appalling. How has this happened? So the rightful anger, but there shouldn't be throwing of stones and going, you should have done, you should have done. They know what they should have done.
Interestingly, Jess Phillips has slightly changed her tune on Breakfast TV this morning, and from my understanding, Number 10 are now also saying, well, yes, maybe we will do an inquiry, depending on what the survivors, if they want it, which is...
They'll have to do it in the end.
Yeah, exactly.
They don't want to go digging because they know they'll find dirt.
Yeah, but then the thing is, it's going to be everybody's going to get covered in dirt.
Maybe we don't want to.
And rightly so. Shocking story here in the Telegraph, Nick. Someone on the left called someone they disagree with far right.
It does happen sometimes, Josh. So it's Lammy claims condemning ethnicity of grooming gangs panders to far right. So this was actually in 2018, but people are talking about it again now. Sajid Javid, I just said it very slowly because I always get it wrong. He said these sick Asian paedophiles are finally facing justice, and so on. Now, Lammy criticised him, saying this is the wrong language to use, and he said Javid plays to the gallery on the hard right of his party for his own electoral ambitions. I mean, imagine if that is hard right, then everyone's hard right. I mean, what is left if that is hard right? But of course, as we alluded to earlier, Javid didn't go far enough because they're not Asian grooming gangs. It's not South Koreans running amok suddenly. We need to call it what it actually is. It was Pakistani Muslim...
But he does later specifically
But he does later say that. Yes, he said a high portion of men have Pakistani heritage. So he did say it. So the idea that Lammy calling this... saying this was racist in some way or far right, completely absurd. And this, of course, is indicative of the mentality that has caused this kind of thing. Even someone like Tom Holland, who some people said was unfairly attacked on Twitter, the historian said it's about preserving good race relations. But, of course, it doesn't do that. Unless you're implying that everyone in the group is a criminal, people in that group should want them to be called out accurately, so it differentiates from them. And definitely Asians, Japanese people and Koreans will want it called out, so it's not them.
Well,
so it
but
doesn't...
This is it, but Sajid Javid did want it called out, and he was from
and Lammy, of course, hated it.
Yeah.
But it's the idea as well that, not identifying specifically them being as Asian or Pakistani, because everyone's capable of rape. Yes, they are. Everyone is capable of rape. But when you have a pattern that absolutely identifies a common factor, then call it what it is.
Let's have a look at it. Independent now, Nick, and any chance of Baroness Warsi joining Reform instead now?
So this is Badenoch refuses to restore whip to Warsi despite clearing her of wrongdoing over Sunak coconut tweet. It's never a great thing, is it, when there's a coconut tweet? So they'd not cleared her of the coconut tweet, but she said that's not enough to get the whip back. She said, while your membership of the Conservative Party is unaffected, restoring the party whip is a different matter. It is a privilege, not a right. Following careful consideration, I cannot be confident you have any intention of stopping your public denigration of our party and its successive leaders. And one of the things was she attacked Suella Braverman and said she was unfit to be Home Secretary and attacked her in various ways and her rhetoric and so on. She even said the party was sliding into far-right extremism. Lol, must have missed that. And, yeah, and her record, I mean, there was a Douglas Murray article that he sort of reshared from a while back in The Spectator. He called her the most over-promoted, incapable and incompetent minister of recent times. In 2006, she called the election of Hamas in Gaza an opportunity. And she wouldn't condemn the killing of British troops in Iraq in 2000.
For Ofcom reasons, I must say that there are other people who could also be the most over-promoted people. Jojo, the Mail reveals another way that Germany's better than us.
Oh, well, but very quickly, don't think that anybody in public office should be given a whip, frankly.
Cool.
Well, or maybe
sorry, I didn't allow you to tell the joke. I'm glad you got it in there.
Thank you.
And I want to go back to story 4. I had some gold on that.
Germans are declared world champions in sick leave by country's leading insurer, as it reveals poorly workers take average of 20 days off each year. But again, looking at cause and effect. So obviously, Germany have a policy whereby if you're off sick, then you can have sick pay for 6 weeks.
That's backward.
Isn't it? I mean,
how dare they?
I do like that. But I think if you know you're going to get paid, if you feel better after 3 weeks, why not have another 3 weeks off getting paid? Which is, I think, is what the mentality is, because the same happened in here after COVID. A lot of people in the NHS were off for long COVID, and then when the pay stopped, they quickly
Well, I tell you why, because then it lowers your country's productivity rate and makes you go into
remember when we all
economic
used
decline.
to go into work with the COVID?
And that's what you should be thinking about when you're sick.
Do you know what has happened to
The gig
Germans?
economy.
That's what I want to know. I mean, Germans...
They used to be so efficient.
I know, they're so meek now. Obviously, they
efficient.
can go too far the other way, but they're so meek.
Let
they're
it
so,
go.
like, sitting around at home being...
We love to work!
Exactly. I mean, yeah. Say what you like about... Never mind. The COVID cases is one thing, because ever since COVID, everyone's just given up on everything.
Yeah, no,
and it's cold. It's an increase in colds and COVID. How is that an increase in colds?
In the
You always
winter.
get colds, and then COVID cases.
Absolutely.
Really, you're still getting COVID.
But also, I mean, I'm...
And for Ofcom purposes, COVID doesn't exist.
OK. Let's just go into...
Are you channeling Lewis tonight?
Lewis. He would go much further. He says viruses don't exist. I'm a moderate. I say some exist.
Yeah, but the idea that, you know, I come from an A generation and B, a career that you don't work, you don't get paid. So I will drag my sorry ass into any situation.
And thank you so much for giving us all COVID this evening. Right, still to come, what advert was fine with Sadiq Khan but too much for the advertising watchdog? And where are you not allowed to live if you're sick? This is Headliners, only on GB News.
Hello again and welcome to the latest update from the Met Office for GB News. It's going to stay cold over the next 24 hours with further snow and icy patches for some, although for much of the UK it's clear and dry overnight and into Thursday. We've seen this low pressure move up from the southwest during Wednesday, bringing with it a band of rain, sleet and snow, and that messy mixture of wintry weather remains as we go into the evening, but it does eventually fizzle away towards the southeast, leaving behind falling temperatures and icy roads and pavements. There'll also be icy patches in the north and west where we continue to see sleet and snow showers move in on a cold wind. Inland temperatures dropping as low as -5 or -6 in urban areas and in some sheltered rural spots, particularly where we've got snow cover, for example, across parts of Scotland and northern England, temperatures could dip into the minus double digits. So widely a cold, frosty and in some places icy start to Thursday. Further wintry flurries into the north coast of Northern Ireland as well as the north coast of Scotland. 1 or 2 there for North Wales as well as northwest England. But for the vast majority, actually, it's a fine start to the day. Yes, it will be cold and there'll be some slippery surfaces around, but there'll be plenty of dry, bright, crisp winter weather. Best of the sunshine, southern Scotland, parts of the Midlands, eastern and southern England. And it's going to continue to feel very cold out there especially in the wind across northern Scotland and down the North Sea coast. Temperatures struggling to get to 1 to 3 Celsius, and in some places where we've got snow cover and some hills, for example, temperatures not going above 0. So we keep that cold air in place for Friday, but at the same time, another Atlantic system will move in, bringing once more a mix of rain, sleet and snow. But it's a temporary wintry spell because as it moves in, temperatures slowly lift over the weekend.
This is Britain's Newsroom, where your voice matters.
It's just astonishing. With expert analysis and honest opinion, we don't just keep you informed.
We bring you unique perspectives you won't see anywhere else.
Can't argue with any of that. When the news happens, it happens here.
On Britain's Newsroom, weekdays from 9:30 a.m.
Only on GB News.
Thank you, Britain.
Thank you for watching.
Thank you for listening.
Thanks for subscribing.
Thank you for your support.
It's you that make us the People's Channel.
As we reflect on our journey so far, we're filled with immense gratitude.
You mean the world to us. We couldn't have reached this point without you.
As a very special thank you, we are giving you the chance to win one of 50 GB News thank you boxes. They're worth £50 each.
For full terms and conditions, and to enter, just go to gbnews.com/thank you.
Welcome back to Headliners. Let's take another look at Thursday's front pages. The Daily Telegraph. Treasury steps in to halt market mayhem. The Eye. Reeves faces extra tax rises or cutting public services. The Express. It's blindingly obvious we need a care plan. Metro. Groomed by gangs, butchered on a bus at 14. The Times. Take back ISIS Britain, says Trump terror chief. And the Daily Star. Don't eat Christmas trees. And we have that story coming up. Nick, let's kick off with Thursday's Telegraph. And it seems that appearing on GB News might be detrimental to my BBC career.
That has been known. It's BBC sacked me over anti-Starmer's song, not me. Freezing This Christmas, says writer. This is Chris Middleton. And he had that song, It'll Be Freezing This Christmas. Well, Keir Starmer's one. That one.
I've never heard it.
Oh,
it's not that
good.
popular,
It's a banger.
is it?
It's very, very much like the Mud song, but with different lyrics.
Do you think it was worth losing his job over?
Absolutely, because he raised
money.
He raised money for the people who have, of course, been affected by the lack of winter fuel payments because of Labour. He said he had a choice. Do I come out and say I'm the writer of this song and try and make this campaign big and help people, or do I keep my BBC gigs? And he basically said, I'm freelance anyway, it's not my whole income, I can take this chance. And that's quite noble. And one of the questions, of course, why the BBC has to get rid of this guy, when Gary Lineker can just imply that Suella Braverman is a Nazi and just carries on working. So one asks the question.
Was Gary Lineker employed by the BBC when he was also advertising crisps?
Well, that's less of a thing here. But look,
he can be politically neutral and still eat crisps, I think.
Jojo, BBC guidelines ban anyone working in its news and current affairs departments from expressing political opinions. Of course, you could argue that Gary Lineker doesn't work in news. This guy's a newsreader. But saying all of that, there are huge... When you look at some of the anti-Semitism coming out from BBC... No, well, I was going to say, we get paid. It's the opposite for us. If we don't express opinions, we're out on our bottoms.
Right.
But at the BBC, it's like you're not supposed to have any opinions. Of course, the hypocrisy there is, if you actually look at some of the accounts, and, for example, just bringing this up here, but a bunch of people putting out some crazy anti-Semitism who work for BBC News... that's seemingly okay.
But did they have a catchy song? That's the question. They just love Starmer. I mean, they may be impartial. I think they love Starmer and want to marry him. That's my position. Go on.
Can I make an admission that might get me sacked?
Yeah.
From here?
Yeah.
It better be a good opinion.
No, I was on BBC Radio Scotland this morning.
What's that going to get you? That's not going to get you.
Well,
it's not going to get you sacked.
But you're not impartial.
No, that's a humble brag. That's not.
Can be on both, and is that allowed?
I refuse to do the BBC on principle. They haven't asked me either, which makes it very easy. And they didn't pay me anyway last time. They didn't pay me when I was on there. They owed me 100 quid.
But I do think there's a fine line between if you're presenting if the newsreader there was to present the news. You can't see her audience, but she's over there. If presenting the news, you don't necessarily associate them with a political
And just for the audience,
was it that kind of insight that you gave to the BBC this morning?
Yeah, oh God, no, I was full of it this morning, absolutely.
Well, you probably had a hangover, didn't you? Because we were out last night. It was it was a comedian's Christmas party last night, and we were a little bit drunk.
We were a little bit drunk.
And then you were on the radio. I've had a full day to recover.
And we didn't go to the after party where Michael Portillo was.
Shut up! OK, I'm sure he doesn't want it. Oh, no, now she's lost it. Right, let's move on to the male Jojo and another totally innocent advert that definitely doesn't have any offensive hidden imagery, right?
Well, see, this is it. This is the question. This is what we're going to debate, isn't it? Because the advert for Islamic finance startup that showed MMA star, a Muslim preacher surrounded by burning US dollars, are banned by Watchdog. Now, they've very much said that, you know, the imagery of burning monies, you can see that in TV and films. It's not necessarily an anti-Western, you know, ideology.
Let's have a quick look at this advert. I want to note
they thought it was a bit of fun.
I want to note three things. Sorry, I want to note the guy on the left, who is an Islamic preacher. I want to note the sticking the finger in the air, and then the burning of the cash, and then the idea of revolution. Now we can come back and we'll talk about those four different points in a second. But anyway, yes.
So, in terms of looking into it, and I think you can find something in anything, really. What they argue is that because the excess of in Islam countries, they're not allowed, what was it, in an Arabic word, excess, and it's commonly used to describe the prohibition of interest under Islamic law. So they were showing that financial freedom, this is their argument, they're showing financial freedom and that you invest here, and so the excesses of
that's the goods
exploitation. So that's what they're saying.
Yeah.
That can also be interpreted the way that it has been interpreted, but are we just for sake's sake going, oh, it's another thing, it's all...
No, we're not, are we, Nick? The reasons why they said they banned it is because it could offend tourists in terms of seeing the burning of... It says, you know, specifically United States of America burning up. Could you talk us through some of the other interpretations that they don't talk about in this article?
Well, can I say one thing? You can, then I'll let you do that, because they want to withdraw from RIBA. Firstly, what do they have against the Royal Institute of British Architects? But that's the accumulation of interest. I've always thought that's the positive thing about Islam, just for balance. That's a positive thing about Islam, is the idea of not accruing interest.
Accruing interest.
I think that's OK, but with inflation, they point out that in effect, your money is losing value anyway. But what is it that bother you, Josh, with all the fire and...
Well, no, here's the things. OK, doing that is like... It can be and has been used by Islamists to say, like, the one true God. OK. That's been used, like, if you see pictures of certain Islamists out there, that's a very common symbol that's used. The gentleman, the preacher, the Muslim preacher they used, with he had a very good beard, to be fair. If I was picking a guy and I was like, I want a preacher, that's the guy I'm going to be hiring. Unfortunately, he's been banned from a bunch of countries for arguably extremist rhetoric. What he said about homosexuals in the past, we cannot repeat on the show, although, to be fair, he has rescinded that now. And also this idea of burning these symbols of Western civilization.
So, for
I'm against
layman,
that.
but I understand. So, for a layman like me that wouldn't initially look at that and see any of those messages, other people who do see that symbolicness of it, you think that then people who are from an Islamist faith, that would be insightful to them?
Well, I think it's I've worked in advertising before this present job, and every single part of an advert is scrutinised, chosen and deliberate and conscious. So the idea that these just happen to all come together and this particular person happened to be used is ridiculous, as far as I'm concerned. And also, sorry, the fact that Sadiq Khan's, the TfL said, oh, no, it's totally fine, and they're banning things like hot dogs and an advert for a cheese wheel, but this is OK. So the Advertising Authority has come in and superseded them and said, no, actually, these are offensive and not to show these adverts.
But there were 75 complaints that were lodged.
Which I'm shocked it wasn't more than 75, to be honest. Right, ironic article in The Guardian, Nick, caring about facts.
Yeah, this is Meta is ushering in a world without facts, says Nobel Peace Prize winner. And they just seem to give these Nobel Peace Prizes to anyone these days. So it's Maria Ressa.
Not working.
Well, this Meta thing I mentioned it earlier. Zuckerberg came out and it was very bold. He said a few things. We're going to use community notes instead of fact checkers. Fact checkers inverted commas. It just means people pushing usually a specific viewpoint. Community notes seems to be a great system that X uses, so why not do that? I think that's great. He's going to reduce restrictions on topics like immigration and gender. Good, because I'm against censorship. He's going to push back on governments around the world that are going after American companies and pushing to censor more, which is great. He's also moving content moderation to Texas instead of California, which is banter. So now the cynical version is he just realises we've got a new regime, it's the MAGA era, and I want to be mates with Trump, who said that I should, that if I interfere with the 2024 election, he should spend the rest of his life in prison. So he did mention, he might be a bit scared of that. Now, the more generous view is just that he actually does have regrets because he was involved in Facebook suppressing the Hunter Biden laptop scandal. And I feel that he didn't like being a part of all that from watching interviews.
And also the suppression of arguments about gender and sex, what is biological sex and whatnot. You get banned for saying there are two sexes.
They're on the wrong side of this, and now he's correcting. But the weird thing is the people, of course, the people who don't like this, the lefties, this person, Ressa, is saying that this is a big problem. It's an extremely dangerous time. I've seen all this from the lefties. They just call it disinformation. They're worried about this because to them it's disinformation. To other people it's information.
Yeah, and also, I mean, I think we can all agree if people think they're getting their facts just directly from Facebook, then something's horribly wrong. But we know that. The community notes thing, I think, is quite good because that sort of first-hand experience people are putting down, aren't they?
Yeah. People have loads of different views come together, and it's an aggregate, so that's why it works.
Well, the idea that, you know, you can see the weirdness about the fact-checkers or what was banned on Facebook made no sense. And it's like, I mean, it's basically like, oh, really, we didn't realise it was so suppressive. Yes, you did. And
well, I think this is a huge story. We are going to be talking about it on Free Speech Nation on Sunday.
When do you think this will come in?
Shush! Sorry. Jojo, I want you to talk about the Express with the village that sounds a bit like Logan's Run.
Right,
quickly do this.
Okay, well,
that's why I wanted you to talk about
well, there's only time left for this and the Christmas tree because this story
is great.
Has blown my mind. So, this is Express. So, this is the headline. Stunning European village bans all residents from becoming seriously ill. So, that's the headline. So, that suggests that you're not... How do you ban someone from becoming seriously ill? But that's not the story. There's nothing to do... There's nothing then about banning people. They say it's hard to access the village because of the narrow roads and low 18
This is Calabria, Belcastro
in Belcastro. And narrow roads and the speed limit is as low as 18 miles per hour. Not for emergency vehicles. They don't have to...
But it's a very interesting idea that you have to start giving sort of health certificates to be able to move into a place because it's too isolated now.
Yeah, it was supposed to be a sort of... It was a joke. It was a provocation about the lack of health. We need it here. We need the same rule here. Don't get ill because we have the NHS. So that's what it is.
You shouldn't be. But they're making out that you can't get to them because the speed limit's 18 miles per hour. But we know that emergency vehicles don't have to stick to the speed limit.
But they can't. They've got no choice. That's
so why are they talking rubbish?
Well,
but also they say that people spend days in the emergency room. So it's like, well, they're underfunded. They're not there then. I don't get it.
Still to come, how not to dispose of your Christmas tree and why are male strippers under threat. This is Headliners only on GB News.
You're looking happy.
Well, the forecast looks good.
So you've sorted the travel insurance then?
All Clear Travel Insurance sponsors GB News Travel Destinations Forecast.
If you're looking to escape the cold weather in the UK and find some winter sun, well, you're in luck. Fine for many parts of southern Europe. And it's looking like there'll be some warm sunshine for the Canaries as well as Madeira. But for Portugal and Spain, particularly towards the north, there'll be some showery rain, more especially parts of the south of France seeing some wet weather. Snow for the Alps there, showers for Italy, and indeed there will be some showers across parts of Greece during the next few days.
All Clear Travel Insurance sponsors GB News Travel Destinations Forecast.
Britain's newsroom. Weekday mornings from 9:30.
Mr. Motivator, he joins us now. Mr. Motivator, a very happy new year to you. Thank you so much for joining us on the show. There you are, bright and early. So how are things? How can we all kick ourselves into shape?
By the end of January, most people have thrown their New Year's resolution out the window.
I think what's important is that we make a change for life and we set ourselves small goals. And as we achieve those goals, then we reward ourselves. So in other words, you want to run 10K, you don't immediately get up and go run 10K, do you? You run between 2 lampposts and walk between 20. If you're not into running, don't choose running. If you're into dancing, that's great. If you're into any kind of movement, that is the way to keep yourself active, healthy, and also maintain your independence.
So, Derek, is the point that you keep it manageable and small enough that it's achievable?
Why don't we just find 4 exercises that you do for 1 minute each exercise, and you do that 4 times a day? Achievable, isn't it? That's only 4 minutes of exercise. And I guarantee at the end of the day, you'd have done 12 minutes, which is like your daily dozen. So there's your goal. I wanted to do a daily dozen of exercise lasting a minute each, right? And the first thing you could be doing is getting up from your chair, right? The moment you stand up, you incorporate so many muscles in your legs, right, that you're going to feel good, yes? So,
right, go on then. Get up off your chair, Adam. Show me how it's done.
Easy, come on.
Easy, yeah. Look at
no
that.
hand. The next thing I want you to do is to reach up real high. And if you bring it down, up
I'll
and
do
down.
that one.
Yeah.
For a minute, palms facing.
Oh, for a minute?
You're not flying a minute. That's better.
There we go. GB News, the People's Channel.
Join me, Camilla Tominey, for a frank and honest discussion with those in power that cuts through the spin and gets to the heart of the issues shaping our nation.
You haven't confirmed that you want to stand as leader, but you haven't ruled it out either.
This report basically says that he's not fit to stand trial. Is he indecisive? Incompetent? I deliver the dose of reality Westminster needs. That's the Camilla Tominey Show at 9:30 every Sunday on GB News, the People's Channel, Britain's news channel.
It's Patrick Christie's Tonight, and here we do things differently.
It's explaining the absolute madness of this, doesn't it?
It's explosive.
I mean, this is very good.
It's lively.
850. Your government sat there, Sean, and it did nothing.
It's controversial.
And the Middle East has been in turmoil since before I was born.
It's everything you need to kickstart your evening.
Everyone's had their Weetabix tonight. I love to see it.
That's Patrick Christie's Tonight, weeknights from 9 p.m. Only on GB News, the People's Channel, Britain's news channel.
Welcome back. We're going to jump straight into Thursday's Independent Jojo with a story my tummy wishes I'd read a few days ago. It was also on the cover of the Daily Star.
Yeah, the Belgium's food agency pleads with public not to eat their Christmas trees, following Ghent City Council's suggestion that recipes that you can reuse your conifers or something, some soup, I think, with some of the
needle soup with butter. Yum, yum, yum.
Sounds delish. But the agency have issued a warning that your Christmas tree isn't actually edible. Well, it is edible as long as it's not a U, as in Y-E-W.
Okay.
And your tree has not been treated with fire-resistant spray. Do you know what? I think if anybody thinks they should be eating a Christmas tree, let them eat the Christmas tree.
What do you think, Nick?
And then we have less stupid people.
Well, I like this bit. It says, your Christmas tree is edible as long as it is not you. And I thought, that's perfect. As long as it's not me, someone else eats it. Lewis Schaefer would be fine.
Fair enough. Sad news in the Star, Nick, and I guess there's no point us continuing our joint workout sessions.
Well, yes, it's a great point. It's male strippers face extinction, not sort of literal death, as no topless fella booked for a hen do last year. Can you believe it?
This is
so
very
not a single
news.
male stripper was hired for a bridal party.
Not one stripper.
Not even one. And I've
never had a picture. Oh, well, come on then. Go on.
I'm just saying, I'm available.
The Ozempic has kicked in and he's available. I mean, I find it kind of humiliating. It looks, not when I do it, it looks humiliating, but why has it ended? My theory is women don't need to humiliate men anymore because the entire culture does that.
Oh, that is a really... Hey, someone's got a Substack.
Is someone feeling a little bit...
No, just one of my...
That's Substack writes itself.
One of my Tate-esque observations. But, yeah, isn't it a crazy thing? Have you ever done this, Jojo?
I genuinely...
This year?
I have never felt the desire to have a topless man. For my first wedding, because I've had several, I honestly said, please do not get me a male stripper don't get me a male stripper, and they got me a male stripper. And
Oh, so you have done it?
yeah, somebody got.
That's why I asked.
He had a
Yeah.
Tarzan
I knew
thing,
it.
and I came up to his shoulder height, and I was like right in his armpit, and he had the dreadful BO. And
Ugh.
other
That's
people
horrific.
think it's a great idea for other people. Nobody thinks it's a good idea. And as long as it's not being done to them, it's very funny.
Right. It's upset other people and
Yeah,
hurt them.
pretty much.
Well, would you be tempted to go to like Magic Mike Live?
No, what was those thing, the Dream Boys or
Chippendales.
something?
Again?
Chippendales.
Would you go back? This year?
What was that film set in Sheffield?
Full Monty.
Full Monty.
Yeah.
Were you the advisor on that?
Yeah, I was a stunt double.
Fair enough. We're going to finish very, very quickly on the Mirror Jojo, and this is my only chance of actually getting a Valentine's Day card.
Again, this is, you know, sometimes I do say, oh, just don't advertise these stories. They're so silly. Card Factory Valentine's Day card branded disrespectful by annoyed shoppers. Well, don't buy it then, goodness sake. So the Card Factory is one retailer eager to profit on all that February the 14th. So they've got different cards for different things. And there's now one they've introduced this year.
What does the card say? Say it quickly, we've got 10 seconds.
The work husband.
There we go.
You're my comedy husbands. What's wrong with that?
This is it. Nick, what do you think?
Well, it's the overwork culture, it's the decline of marriage, and the other third evil, Josh, the women in the workplace.
Your Substacks are just writing themselves
The
this
women
evening.
were saying if somebody gave this card to my husband, I would be going to jail. Really? Well,
I would be very, very upset about it.
To deal with your mental health.
OK, right, show's nearly over. Let's take another quick look at Thursday's front pages. The Daily Telegraph, Treasury steps in to halt market mayhem. The Eye, Reeves faces extra taxes or cutting public services. The Express, it's blindingly obvious we need a care plan. Metro, groomed by gangs, butchered on a bus at 14. Times, take back ISIS Britons, says Trump terror chief. And the Daily Star, don't eat your Christmas trees. That is it for tonight's show. Thank you very much, my guests, Jojo and Nick. I'm going to be back tomorrow night at 11 p.m, joined by Steve N. Allen and Kerry Marks. And if you're watching at 5 a.m, please stay tuned for breakfast. Thank you very much for joining us. Bye.
Who's up at 5?
Yeah, I know.
There will be a light breeze in the morning, leading to a warm front. Boxed heat pumps, sponsors of weather on GB News.
Evening, time for your latest weather update from the Met Office here on GB News. The wintry weather continues to cause some problems. Met Office warnings remain in place. Snow across the south, an amber warning across parts of the southwest during this evening before it all starts to pull away. But some sleet and snow still falling across the southeast well into the night before that edges away. Snow showers coming in across northern Scotland, the north of Northern Ireland, likely to turn things icy. And then some wintry showers later in the night filter into western parts of Wales down towards Cornwall. For many, it's just a dry night, a clear night and a very cold night. -4, -5 in towns and cities, rural spots getting to minus double digits. So a very cold, very frosty start. Also some freezing fog patches around, particularly over parts of Northern Ireland and Northern England. All the wet weather should be out of the way by first thing in the morning across the south, but it could be icy. These showers coming into West Wales and Cornwall could still make things icy. Some snow here and in the showers coming into the north of Northern Ireland and across northern parts of Scotland will continue to feed wintry showers in here during Thursday morning. So still potentially very icy out there. Also frosty conditions and some dense fog patches. But actually for many, it'll be a bright, fine winter's day on Thursday. Plenty of blue sky, plenty of sunshine to be had. Still a few showers grazing West Wales. And certainly more snow showers coming in across northern Scotland. But elsewhere, I say, quite a bit of sunshine. If the fog sticks, temperatures may not get above freezing. Some glens of Scotland may stay below freezing all day as well. But generally, temperatures creeping up 2 or 3 degrees. Still pretty cold, though. And again, a hard frost on Friday morning. Temperatures again like to get to minus double digits in rural spots. Notice though some wet weather coming into the southwest. Again, this is going to be a messy mixture of rain, sleet and some snow coming into parts of Wales and southwest England. Again, many other areas dry and fine on Friday. After a frosty start, temperatures struggling to 2 or 3 degrees for most.
We can expect clear skies, leading to a light and warm day ahead. Lovely. Boxed Solar, sponsors of weather on GB News.
£50,000 in tax-free cash is like having over £4,000 each month to play with for a whole year. And it could be yours in the biggest Great British giveaway so far. That could be a holiday each month, your mortgage covered, or just the ability to send some of those day-to-day financial stresses packing. For another chance to win, text cash to 63232. One entry costs £2 plus one standard network rate message. Or text bonus to 63232. 5 entries cost £5 plus one standard network rate message. Go to gbnews.com/win. Entries start from just £2. You can call 0903 681 3232. Calls cost £2 plus your network access charge. Or post your name and number to GB10 PO Box 8690 Derby DE1 9TT. UK only. Entrance must be 18 or over. Lines close at 6 p.m. on the 31st of January. Please check the closing time if listening or watching on demand. Good luck.
Sunday with Michael Portillo from 11, only on GB News.
With the dawn of the new year come new opportunities for the stage. Stefan Kyriazis joins us now to share how he started 2025.
We've got Sigourney Weaver, Hollywood star, coming in as Prospero in The Tempest. It's an experience. Sigourney Weaver has got this kind of patrician presence. She's always on stage, sat watching or stalking the area, but she doesn't quite get the Shakespearean rhythms for me.